Okay, so the first factor we're going to look at, you've seen it before, is surface area. Particles that react have to collide, they have to bounce into each other. They don't always react, even if they bounce off each other, but sometimes they do. When a collision happens and it causes a reaction to take place, then we call it a successful collision. If we're talking about a solid and then perhaps a liquid or a gas reacting with it, then it's the surface of the solid where the reaction takes place. So the more surface that's exposed, the more collisions, so the faster the reaction rate. Look at the following chunk of solid here. This green solid here is surrounded by hydrogen ions. So this could be a lump of metal, for example, and the hydrogen ions can only attack around the edges. But if we break the metal up into smaller pieces, now the hydrogen ions can attack many more of the metal atoms. Okay, so it's pretty obvious, isn't it? For a given mass of solid reactant, the smaller the particles, the larger the surface area. So the greater the rate of reaction. So rate of reaction increases as surface area increases. Greater surface area means more collisions and more, and this is the new key phrase, successful collisions, those which result in a reaction. Now, this is a really important factor. If you're working in a place where there's lots of small particles in the atmosphere, for example, in a sawmill where there's sawdust, or in a collar cow factory, or a Nesquik factory, whichever you prefer, then what happens is the atmosphere can get full of the small particles, dust particles, and these particles can ignite and cause an explosion. This has typically happened, used to happen obviously more in the past when people weren't aware of this, but it's typically happened in factories where there's a powder that can get into the atmosphere. Obviously, an explosion is a very rapid chemical reaction. This is a picture of an explosion that happened in Minnesota in the United States. Wallace, stop. Okay.